Really funny. Really funny. What do you mean I'm funny? It's funny, you know. It's a good story. It's funny.
Yeah, and away we go. Let's start the show. Golly gee whiz. Tony Caravan with you for ROCKFLUX Live. October 6, 21. When is a thing more absurd? Is the title of the show, and the secondary title of the title card is The Body Electric. So, welcome to the show, folks.
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
That's right. It's just what you need and not what you don't.
The only station that matters.
You got it, buddy. You got it. And believe it or not, this is the second show of the day. It's 6:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, October 6th, as I said before. I did a show before, and it has been since deleted. I deleted it. Okay? I deleted that show.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It just wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And there's just some things I want to talk about, and, well, we'll talk about them. The show will be maybe a little bit abbreviated, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The Earth View, we showed a little bit about the weather before.
The Weather Watch forecast.
And it looks like it's pretty darn cloudy on the East Coast, and it's pretty darn cloudy on the West Coast. It's currently 63 degrees where I am right now. It's supposed to be cloudy and cloudy here for the next couple of days. The weekend's not looking too good on the eastern part of this country, former U.S., and it looks like there's a lot of clouds on the west. So, what can I say?
The Weather Watch forecast.
Beware of the clouds. I talked about the news before. Flash. Nothing going on. Nothing going on. Nothing going on. I talked about Facebook. Facebook and Instagram and all their little family of companies went down coincidentally while they had like a whistleblower. You think they were like cleaning out the servers, right? Probably. I'll talk about the oil spill in a second and Biden's ridiculousness. We'll get to that. Daily photo of the day is this. It seems like I'm going pretty fast. Well, let's get through this stuff I talked about before. Not that anyone watched this. That was Roswell. That was the old Roswell show. I just watched the original, or the new one, the remake of the original. And, that's that. I used to like that girl there. She reminded me of some girl I used to hang out with. Anyway, here's the latest of my grow room. Just looks like a bunch of dirt, except for that cat grass on the right-hand side. But that's what I'm doing right now, trying to grow indoors. I almost thought I heard rain outside, but it's not supposed to rain. And the music album of the day is Ricky Lee Jones, Ricky Lee Jones. This was the album that the song Chucky's in Love came from, and I was mentioned it was old song was written about Chucky Weiss. He was a kind of a guy who was familiar. Tom Waits, Ricky Lee Jones, and Chucky Weiss. I guess they used to hang out together, or they knew each other, something like that. But the saddest song ever written is on this album, Ricky Lee Jones. It's called Company. And if you're ever in need of some sympathy and you want to, feeling good is just a good man feeling bad, or you just broke up in a relationship and you think you got it bad, listen to Company. That song doesn't bring you to tears. I don't know what will. Anyway, so that's a brief recap of what part one of the show is all about. I even made some more coffee, which is much weaker. Very much weaker, but it's hot, at least. So anyway, the body electric. Well, the Body Electric comes from a Ray Bradbury story, I Sing the Body Electric, which I believe also made it into a Twilight Zone. And it involved a household caretaking robot. In other words, in the Twilight Zone version of the story, there was an elderly woman who was a robot, and she took care of this guy's kids, 60-ish. The man went off to work in his suit, and she took care of the house and the kids. And it was I Sing the Body Electric was the name of the company, actually, that created these robots. And so the Body Electric, in effect, is the Body Electric, a robot. And I wanted to talk about that today as part of the show. And I also wanted to talk about this idea of, in the subtitle underneath, which really is considered the title of the show, as the more I realize that, to me, the title card is the title, but now I realize, people look at those things underneath, and that's how they get the description. But when is a thing more absurd? Because I've been coming up with that lately, this idea that absurdity, things are so absurd. The cat has joined me now. He didn't join me before, and suddenly he's joined me. So anyway, I was talking before about, this oil spill, the news. I just want to get through this real quick because this isn't a political or a news program, but we do tend to cover it. And we give a little quick flash at it. Operator in California oil spill shut down for hours after leak alert. Regulators say didn't shut down for hours. And the idea is here, I was trying to say, as a guy like me who's like a fixer, kind of like come in, clean up, figure it out, solve the problem, a problem solver, that they haven't brought anyone like that in. And they don't want to bring somebody like that in. And the reason they don't want to clean up that oil spill, and you're saying, you got to be kidding me. No, they don't. Because it's a news story, which is bringing in millions and millions of commercial dollars, like literally tens of millions. If you think nationwide, every little station is covering that on the network broadcasts, right? And the national networks are covering it, right? And then all the political candidates get to use this so it could push their various agendas, And so why would they want to come in and use this 21st century, 2021 technology we have that could come in there and literally clean up that beach by the weekend and leave it in better shape than it was 2 weeks ago? And I put the challenge out there. Silicon Valley, you billionaires, contact me. I'll come out, lead a team, we'll clean up that mess, and that'll be that. Okay? Let's save those animals. Let's save that beach, and let's save those waterways. All right? And let's put politics aside. But they won't do that, and they have that technology, and that's the problem. Now my cat's going a little bit crazy because it thought it was over because this show literally ended, and then I restarted it. Sorry about that. It just didn't start right. I just canceled the original, and I just began again. With weaker but hotter coffee. Excuse me. Pardon me.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
My phone keeps like going down from 100% to 82% or whatever. What's this person saying? It's like somebody was criticizing somebody. Who's going to read this? You don't mind if I read this, do you? It's a Tony Caravan live show, after all. Let's see what this woman said. I don't like calling for people's jobs, but I went out to dinner with this lady tonight, and she poured the rest of our table's water into her glass and still had water in it while mine remained empty, and she didn't even drink it all. And there's like a picture of this person. And she got 83 tweets, and she has 8,000 followers. What does that have to do with anything? And that's not even my personal Twitter account, because I don't really deal with that much. That's like I do a little Twitter account in my locale where I like kind of show buildings and stuff. In fact, if you get the latest copy of my book, you'll get to see some pictures. But I'm grabbing my book right now because I want to show you something. I want to show you these Boston Dynamic robots that I talk about in my book. Okay? Those kind of killer-looking machines, you know, Terminator types. Like I've said before, they like, you know. And unlike the Body Electric or like the Elon Musk, you know, household assistant robot that's like weighs, you know, less than the average human being and can't lift more than maybe a package you get from Amazon. There's robots out there that have been funded by DARPA and other type of defense contractors that are basically robotic killing machines. But the Body Electric is, what I've been saying is that probably within the next year, 2 or 3 at the outset, you're going to see domesticated robots. You personally won't see them unless you have money. I mean, I'm not going to buy one, right? You know, over in Japan and China, you know, a lot of places, you know, Japan particularly, you know, the robots are commonplace. You know, there's people marrying robots over there. Yeah, really. It's weird. But I also talked about in the early part of the show, and I'm going to get this out of the way because I'm giving you kind of a recap what you missed. I was talking about when I went over the news, a quick update of the news. I was pointing out that there was a couple of these Congress people that were talking about trying to hold out because there wasn't proper eyeglasses, a dental, and health care in the latest bill. You know, this trillions of dollars, right? And what I had said before was, and of course I was making fun of the individual. This is a plural. I was trying to say that, you know, what are you talking about? You know, it's like the hypocrites with this oil spill. It's like if you want to clean up the oil spill, just clean it up. Don't go blabbering about it so much, right? Don't try profiting on, you know, on the disaster. There's a time and place for that. It's called the courtroom or whatever it is. Or when the election comes, you could bring it up. Take some photos, save the photos, right? Take some video footage, and that's that. But let's everybody work together to clean up the mess and clean up the beach and clean up the ocean. Do you see? We're supposedly all in this together. But for some reason, whenever there's one of these disaster type of things or something weird like that, one side wants to use it for politics, and then the media, it doesn't matter what side it is as far as the media is concerned, the media wants to use it to sell commercials and to have a cliffhanger in between the commercial breaks so you stay tuned so they can make millions and millions of dollars times tens of thousands of stations, right? Times 10,000 stations, you know? You know, so, you know, when there's an oil spill, that's like $100 million instantly, like cha-ching to the media. And then the politicians go, ooh, good, great. We got something perfect for our platform, you know, for 2022. Bring this thing up, that's for sure. And it's like, yeah, fine and dandy, that's good. I don't care. But let's send a crack team down there. It's the year 2021. I am willing to do it. Send in the fixer, right? The fixer. All right? A problem solver. And I'll put a crack team together and we'll get those beaches cleaned up in a week. All right? Let's get a triage going for the animals that got oil on them. All right? Let's get some trawlers out there. Let's put those chemicals down. Let's turn all that oil into these like solid bubbles. And then let's just strain them all out, ride them right to the beach, and just have them all scooped up. Okay? Filter that water out, clean those animals, triage, get some veterinarians from SeaWorld and those kinds of places. Let's just do it. Let's get everybody on the case. Silicon Valley, come on, let's sink in. Let's sink in some tens of millions of dollars and just clean that beach up. Like, toot sweet, pronto. But they won't, you see? They won't. Because there's too much money to be made on it. There's political capital, and then there's media capital, which is commercial money. And that's all I have to say about that. Now, the same thing goes with this bill in Congress, this trillions of dollars where they're trying to say, hey, wait a second, you've got to put in this money for eyeglass care and for dental and for health care for, Medicaid or Medicare people or whatever. Hey, look, if you are in poverty in the United States of America, including all those homeless people out in San Fran and L.A., they all qualify for food stamps. They all qualify for free medical care. They all qualify for eyeglasses. They all qualify for dental. All right? They get, did I say food stamps? They get free food. And there's all kinds of other benefits they get. Those are blue states. That's California, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, places like that. If you're poor, you don't have to live out in the street. Those people you see in the street are either people making money on panhandling, more money than they would from welfare, or taking both. Send the IRS on those bastards. Or they're mentally disturbed and they need mental help. And so why don't you put some money and funding into solving the homeless, the mentally disturbed people who are homeless? But don't go telling me that they don't get free health care already, because they do. The problem is people won't take the certain customers. All right? And so what I was trying to explain is that all across America, you have these urgent care centers that have cropped up. Many of them are like private companies. Some are affiliated with hospitals, nonprofits, and profits, right? But they're urgent care centers. You know what I'm talking about because you know where one is. You may have used it, but you definitely know where one is in your community. They're very close, okay? They're all over the place, right? When you say hospitals are filled or something like that, there's urgent care because you don't have as many doctors. The old sawbones on the corner. You don't have many of those. I have one next door. I'm lucky. All right? I mean, the sawbones. Not an urgent care. I don't know where the urgent care is around here, but I've gone to the hospital already. Anyway, the thing about it is, what these people are talking about is they're clouding the issue and messing with the media, using the media and messing with people's minds. They're making people think, oh, they don't have dental care and eye care and they get in their health care, these poor people. Look if you live below the poverty line, you've had free health care with no deductions that includes eye and dental for like 16 years or more. Maybe even longer, 20 some years. Right? Probably 30 years. The problem is there are some dentists and some optometrists that will not necessarily take a customer because in the Medicare, in the system, they refuse to pay the full fare. And so the person, like anybody else, imagine yourself if you owned a store. Okay? Let's pretend you're just selling quilts. Something simple. And somebody comes knocking on your door and your quilts you sell your quilts for $60. So he knocks on the door. Hey, I hear you sell quilts. Yeah, come on in. Take a pick. There they are on the wall. Which one do you want? And you pick, I'll take that one. And you take it. Okay, they give you $60 and they walk out. Then the next person comes in and says, well, I'm on Medicare or I'm on whatever. I like your quilts. I'll take that one. Okay, you bring it out. You get ready to wrap it up. And the person pulls out the thing and they're only willing to pay like $25 for it. We say, well, I can't sell it for $25. I got $25 in that thing. All right? So, what these politicians need to do, instead of like playing and messing with people's heads and the media covering for them and trying to like incite this whole thing, is come out and tell the truth. The fact of the matter is, you need to make those urgent care centers either include dental and eye, right, as a mandate based upon some federal policy, because they're dispensing federal drugs, and there's all sorts of federal jurisdiction. It probably comes under the way that those people are licensed to do what they do. So the federal government has a say in it. Sorry to my libertarian friends, but, you guys have failed. All right? This country, this is a corporatocracy. It's former United States. At this point, it's every man for himself. We got to get this. We got to stay alive. All right? And enough of this bull crap on the media and these fake politicians trying to, like, just keep stirring the pot. Right? Causing problems that don't exist. So it's either you mandate to dentists and optometrists, or you pay the full fare. So in other words, if there's a budget here, $3 trillion, all right, well, then you make sure that under dental and, optometry, that they pay the full fare. That's all. And then they won't be turned away. I called the dentist. I haven't been to the dentist. I had really bad, if people who know my show and want to go way back, I called the dentist that's like literally walking distance from my house when I was having a serious toothache. And she told me, we're not taking any new customers. And it was because, but first, before she said that after I said that I was using my health care card, which I had because I was retired and I have free health care. It includes dental. So I ended up having to have the tooth pulled by an oral surgeon, which I had to pay cash for. So I had to have a tooth pulled rather than filled, and I had to pay cash for it. So I understand the problem with the system. You see, it's not like I'm not on your side. All right. But the problem is that you can't blame the dentist necessarily either, because she has a dental assistant. She has a receptionist. She has an office. She has to pay an electric bill. She's got taxes, right? She's got all these costs, all these overhead. And so why should she, have the government, the federal government, not pay her the full fare for someone who comes in there using, let's call it a welfare card for lack of a better thing. So why don't you just include in the budget that you pay the full fare for dental and eyeglasses? You only get one pair of eyeglasses a year, and you can make it one dental appointment a year. These people who go for cleanings, is like, cleaning, just brush your teeth. I can't believe it. Another dentist I did call, the reason I didn't go to them, and I ended up getting, because I would have to pay them too. But they said, well, first you got to come in for a cleaning, and then we'll take an x-ray, and then after that, you'll come back for another appointment, and we'll to see about what we're going to do with the tooth. And I'm going like, what's your story here? I don't need a cleaning. Look at my teeth. They're white as anything. I brush my teeth. Okay, I got good teeth. I eat dairy. I do all the things I should do. I got a tooth. I had a problem because I lost a filling. You want to see it here? I don't know if I could see it on this screen right now, but yeah, you could see it. Look at it. See that? That came out of my mouth. From when I was a kid, some dentist put these big metal fillings in there, and a filling came out. So there was a hole in my tooth. It wasn't because of neglect on my part. It's because I had a filling in there since I was a frickin' kid. 40-some year filling. It's a piece of metal. Lucky I didn't swallow the sucker. You know? We want to do a cleaning. Then we're going to do an x-ray. It's like, I don't need an x-ray. I used to go get fillings all the time. They never x-rayed me for a filling. You look at it. You poke around with that little thing. Right? Drill it out a little bit. Right? And you fill it with something. And you don't put metal in there. You put in that plastery stuff. Waterproof stuff that'll last the rest of your life. But see, that just like that oil spill, they won't solve that problem that way. See, they won't do that. Anyway, so that's that. That's a recap. That's what you missed, all right? You missed that. So we talked about Ricky Lee Jones, the saddest song ever written, company, my grow room, where I'm growing some new plants. You saw the ones that are doing okay yesterday. Title card, of course, we're going to talk about in a second. The CME, which is looming, it's an onus. It's a sword of Damocles over our head. We better be worried about that a lot more than 0.004 CO2. This is what the Earth looks like, has looked like within the past couple hours. That's what the U.S. looks like right now. That's a satellite view. That's CONUS. All right? No satellite. So you see where you live and you see clouds over top of it. That's what it's like, my friends. And this is the frickin' news, right? Facebook, man. That's pretty funny what they did, right? They did that too. You know that, right? So when does a thing get more absurd, right? Is it possible? You know, we've reached this point right now where absurdity is just beyond absurdity. We no longer have words to talk about it. It's like, you know, it's this crazy stuff like this.
This is insane.
I mean, you can't go more insane than
This is insane. This is insane.
you know, you need a word stronger than insane. Or you can't.
This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare.
And the same's with absurdity, right? When does the thing become more absurd? When is it more of a nightmare? You know, can it be, you know, what's more than a nightmare? What's more than insane? What's more than absurd? And that's the land we're in right now. We're in the land of like super absurdity, super insanity, right? You know, beyond, right? It's crazy, you know? But what does crazy mean? It's beyond crazy. In other words, we really can't find it. In other words, it almost comes full circle.
Hello. 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 Hello.
You know, I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Really funny. Really funny.
I used to say this thing that, you know, because everything's circular. I once did this thing where I explained about time. Everything's circular. You know, time's really circular if you really think about it. There is no such thing as linear time. It's just like this circular thing. But that's a whole nother story. Go back and try to find that show. If you could find it, it's pretty interesting. But it's the same with everything else. It's like I once said, you know, a beauty. Someone can become so beautiful that eventually they will become ugly, right? It's just a weird thing. Like, think about that. Think about taking like this like model face, right? And then just like keep like adding the so-called beauty features to it until eventually it starts taking on like witch-like, and it just becomes, literally bizarre, right? Everything is a circular way, is a circle. That's the concept. Everything is cyclical too. The secret, but I'm not going to focus on too much of that today. That's not the purpose of the show. The body electric. So going to Ray Bradbury's I Sing the Body Electric. So the body electric basically is a phrase for the word, the robot. And in his instance, the household robot. And of course, Elon Musk is creating the Tesla robot next year. And I have my own thoughts on that, which I've expressed already. I think he's going to put them in the unmanned spaceships so that it will basically give the ability to test what it would be like to have a human in there and to have them do human functions and things of that sort. It makes a lot of sense. If he's not thinking that way, he should be, right? Give me a call, But I mean, that's the idea, so you don't really need to give me a call because that's basically just it. Excuse me. I need to get a new microphone. So you got these household robots. You're never going to get one. All right. It's like so many things. In fact, as the march of time continues, we're in hyperinflation right now. So, the cost of everything's going way up. And I talk about these things. Yesterday I was talking about a pint of some kind of thing I needed to like fix a leak or something was like close to $100 for one pint, right? I was like, I'm not going to pay $100 for it. You know what I mean? I need 5 of them, forget that. And, like these iPhones and, excuse me. Like I said, if I wanted to reproduce this computer operation that I have here, which are all old computers, and I talked about them yesterday as well, but, I have such low viewership that I have to repeat these things. If you want more in depth, I get more in depth into it yesterday. But it would cost me like 10 grand or more to have 2 computers, to have this computer over here, that does this sort of thing.
ROCKFLUX Live.
And then this one doing this, and then I'm using this, you don't see people having these kinds of things. You see some people doing some of the stuff I'm doing, but not as much. And by the way, I could do live interviews, with people. I could do over the phone interviews. I'm set up. I've got this is a whole studio here. And I don't know if I mentioned it this particular time, but I even have a transmitter that I can transmit in AM or FM band. So if the fit hits the shan, this basically turns into a radio station, right? An over-the-air radio station. And I've been toying around with the concept where I think I could even become a low-power television station if I had to. Again, if the fit hits the shan, I'm not doing it now. All right. But I mean, if we were in that situation and people needed information, I'd certainly provide it for them. All right. But the body electric, and by the way, those are washing machines. That's an original Tony Caravan graphic. That's me, the graphic designer guy. That was something I designed one time. And it's actually a photo I took at a laundromat that I used to go to about 20 years ago. And then I just merged it with and did some graphic effects with an image from a very ancient, it could have been even 80 years old, one of those old like Amazing or type of magazines, those old sci-fi things that used to be around back, 100 years ago or so. So it's public domain, basically. And plus it's altered in such a percentage of alteration, its original piece of art. But be that as it may, so people talk about the future, and it's like robots and self-driving cars and, and then this infrastructure. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure and spend $3 trillion plus $2 trillion on this or whatever, ridiculous. And it's not going to cost anything because we're going to tax it. We're going to have the IRS be connected to everyone's bank account. And anytime anyone gets more than $600 in their bank account, the IRS is, it's going to flag the IRS and they're going to see if that's something they can take a tax out of. That's what's going on right now. Have you heard about that one? You could actually watch this Senate. You could actually watch. There were senators talking about that, and they're trying to block it, but it's probably going to, it looks like it might go through. They were talking about spending $80 billion, giving $80 billion to the IRS so they could go after these small amounts of money, like $600, right? Do you realize how many people, who have jobs now, not the poor, but do you realize how many people, there's 330 million, probably 350 million people in this country. One friend of mine said there's probably 400, million. Because they keep, it's the same number all the time, and then they have these censuses and stuff. But, half the people don't, they don't want to be counted. But whatever the case, in the 300 millions, do you know, there's a lot of people who do have jobs, and so they're going to try to go after everybody who gets a $600 check, That's insane. Create this bureaucracy and spend $80 billion just bloating this IRS agency up. Well, can't they do why don't they just do something with that $80 billion? If they need the money, if they've got to go nickel and dime these $600 out of people, why don't they just take the $80 billion and put it towards whatever they're going to get those nickel and dimes out of people for? You ever think of that one? I mean, I say some of these common sense solutions, they just never dawned on them. It's like $80 billion is a lot of money. And if are you going to make $80 billion back by going after people who are getting $600 checks? I mean, see, this is one of those, again, an example of me just sharing stuff with you. I really don't care because I'm under the poverty line. I'm retired, man. Nobody writes me checks for $600, so I'm not worried about it. But yeah, that's messed up. That's how crazy this is. That's what I'm saying. When does a thing become more absurd than that? These guys that have taken over, guys and girls and whatever, are just out of their frickin' minds, man. Like, they're just going for it. Like, let's see how far we can push things. And then you've got these people on the other side who are trying to fight it and talking about elections and this, that, the other. And, and I'm like, man, they've already in the past 10 months now, 9 months actually, in the past 9 months, basically, they've already made so many changes to the system that are like implemented. And remember, it's the bureaucracy that runs this country. This is a corporatocracy. And the wheels, the grease, the oil of the corporatocracy is the bureaucracy, right? Those are the cogs in the machine, right? And so they've already like pretty much changed this thing, retooled, right? This corporatocracy over the past 9 months or so, and by the end of the year, another year or so, that it will recognize, you won't recognize anything that resembles what you thought may have thought it was if you are of a certain age. I mean, if you're I can't believe this thing. Why is it doing this? It like the thing that locks the microphone. And so you need to move the microphone occasionally. All right? And so there's this little lock clip here that you see, if you don't lock it a certain way, the microphone falls. So it's not like I'm forcing it here with some kind of tool. I just got a handkerchief to open it. But now once that I just hand tightened it, if I try to open it, it's like stuck. Very cheap piece of garbage. Technology. It's the year 2021. In the year 2021, they don't know how to clean up an oil spill. All right. It's the year 2021. They lie to you about eyeglasses and dental care and health care for the poor when they really get it. And they could solve that. So they come up with a simple solution to that easily. Right. They want the IRS to tax. They ran on a campaign and said, all we're going to do is tax the corporations and the very wealthy. And then they came out and put in a bill, a thing that's going to sick the IRS on anybody who gets a check for $600. Big corporations and the wealthy, right? And they're going after the common man who, might get a check for $600 or something. You got to be, and they're going to be tied into their bank account. Do you see how the media and how these people lie and why it's a corporatocracy and it's just one big corporatocracy, bureaucracy, and that there's no changing it? We're beyond, like, when is a thing beyond absurdity? We're beyond the point of no return. Western civilization has already fallen, and this is the former United States. I mean, take a look at what's going on in Australia, in the UK, in Europe, right? And like I said yesterday, nobody's even looking anymore at the African continent. Everyone forgot about South America, like Venezuela, right? Nobody knows. Yet China is like totally messing with Taiwan right now. They're sending like hundreds of warplanes over top of Taiwan. Just basically, the Taiwanese president was like on the air begging the Australians for help. Not the Americans, because the Americans are just like totally ignoring it. That's our country, And in fact, we have a responsibility. It's actually a treaty, I believe. We've signed agreements with Taiwan that we would protect them. And nobody's over there, right? Because this particular guy in office he's on the payroll of the CCP. It's called the Communist Chinese Party, right? Which was also hidden by the media, but came out a little while ago. A little bit of it was coming out, that laptop stuff. It's getting covered on TV, So when does a thing become more absurd, right? What's the word for something that's beyond insanity? You know, when's a nightmare? What's worse than a nightmare, right? Freedom is fun. You don't know what you don't know. And everything you know is wrong. And of course, you know, game over, right? But like my book says, then what, right? So get my book. Then what? You know, it'll help support the channel, and I'll keep doing this kind of stuff, and, you know, we'll have some fun. So I'm only going to keep this show to about an hour because I already did an hour, but I just canceled that show because it was like, it started slow. It wasn't happening the way I wanted it to. And there was nobody watching. Not that there's anybody watching now, but I wasn't feeling right. I wasn't up to par. And, you know, it was just one of those things.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing a lot better than I was on the first show. Glad you were there. You know, nobody else was. So, you know, we enter into this body electric, this robot world, right? Again, that none of us are going to have anything to do with. And so the police aren't going to be the law enforcement agency. Instead, you know, these things are. I'll bring them out again. They're in my book. I mean, that's an actual picture. These things they're out there operating right now. That like little dog-like thing is like patrolling parks all over the world. And that other thing is, you know, yeah. And there's way scarier ones than that exist, you know, that DARPA has funded and that are being used. But, you know, and they've got these drones. And they're not just drones with cameras. They're drones. Some of these drones have missiles. I mean, these things could do anything. And so this is this whole idea of where I always talk about 2021 and people like kind of like look at me funny when they go, what's this guy's problem? He's always talking about like, it's the future. It's 2021. What does he mean? Yeah, I mean, it's 2021. It is the frickin' future. Those things I just showed you, those robots exist. All right. They're marching around. They're in parks in places like Australia and stuff. And they've got, you know, speakers on them and voices. And some of them have mounted weapons on them. I've seen. All right. It's the frickin' future. When there's an oil spill, they could clean it up right away if they wanted to. They have all kinds of stuff. I've seen the stuff they have, right? They could just dump that stuff in there and turn that oil like right away into particles, particulate matter, and then just scoop that stuff up. They'll do it. They can cure diseases, right? They wanted to. They don't want to. Not for you and me. Not for the average sod. You know, they don't care about us. But they love to talk and pretend they do. And then there's all these people who I just don't understand. That just like watch these shows. And they listen and they believe all this, you know, crap that's being, you know, spewed out of the mouths of these people. It's all lies. They're hypocrites. So yeah, you know. So the idea is, you know, freedom is fun and you've got to find your freedom. And that's my main point. And I'm going to be driving this home every time I do a show. I still don't know if I'm going to do these shows every day. It's like today was a decision that I actually stopped the show after an hour. I just said the heck with it. And then I deleted it. Because, I'm not into this nonsense. It's like, if it's not helping somebody, I'm doing this to help people. And if I'm not getting something across, or if it's not working the way I think it should work, I'm not going to do it. Or if it's not fun, sometimes I like to just have some fun, that's always nice,
This is really funny. Really.
That's fun. But, otherwise,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
it's just dry, and it's like I say these things and it goes in one ear and out the other, and people make a few comments and it's like big deal. And that's the way it is. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? I mean, are you just going to sit and wait? Are you waiting for there's like two things going on right now. Are you waiting for this bill to pass and you think you're going to be living in nirvana and utopia? Or are you waiting for some cult of personality character to get elected in 2022 or 2024 and who's going to reverse the course of human history? Right? Which one of those is it? Well, I got a little surprise for you. Both of you are wrong. Both of you are wrong. All right? Nothing that's going on right now in the corporatocracy, the political arena, the media machine is going to turn this country or planet into utopia. You will not be living in nirvana. Okay? And no cult of personality character, all right, is going to come along and save you. Okay? We're way past the point of no return. Western civilization has fallen, as I've said before. Rome didn't rise from the ashes, neither did Greece, neither did, the dynastic period of Egypt, the conquistadors of Spain, the British Empire when they were colonizing the world, all right, and the various other cultures of, South and Central America and Asia. Genghis Khan eventually just went away, Napoleon. I mean, come on, the list goes on and 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 on. When a thing is over, a thing is over. Western civilization has fallen, man. The World Economic Forum, the Davos set, they long since put that last nail in that coffin. The Great Reset is practically done. It's practically done. And it's this idea of denial, I don't understand. You can't live in denial. You can't live in a fantasy land. In other words, people can't see the forest for the trees. There's certain things, I believe in, and things that I thought I knew maybe, and somebody will come here, or I'll see something or show me, or there'll be a demonstration of technology, or someone will, take me to a place and say, see, I told you. And I'm not going to go, and be in denial and not accept it. That building, I tell you, they tore that building down. No, they didn't. They'd never tear that building down. It's it's a classic place. It's beautiful architecture. I mean, it was whatever. And I get in a car and they drive me over there, and there's an empty lot. Well, I'm not going to say, well, that's like some kind of invisibility cloaking thing they have. That building's still there. Come on, let's walk over. I bet if I walk up and touch it, I'll hit something hard, even though it's invisible. That's kind of like what you're doing right now. Like, I'm tired of getting these freaking emails from Save America, Build Back Better, The Great Reset. Even Bernie Sanders, what the heck's he sending emails out? Our Revolution. It's like, what's that all about? Didn't you like lose twice? Didn't you get screwed over twice by the Democrats? Hillary Clinton screwed you over once, and then Biden screwed you over the second time. And what kind of idiot would like give money to somebody who basically sold out twice, over the course of 6 years or whatever. But it's the same with Save America and stuff. I'm sorry, Trump, they didn't drain the swamp. And, this Biden guy, I don't know what kind of drugs they're giving to him, but one day he's like, the thing, the thing, da, 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 da. And then the next day he's there like, blah, blah, like in the Wizard of Oz, when that, the straw man or something, has a brain and he says, the hypotenuse of an isosceles or whatever, or E equals MC squared and blah, It's like, that's the guy who's running the country right now. 1 minute he's like there, spouting off these, theorems. And the next minute he's going, the thing, whatever it was. And whoever that person is and whoever's on that call with me. And I don't know, I can't take any questions now. I got to go. Nancy, am I allowed to take, So it's the whole lot. Don't you see? It's like, this is a corporatocracy. And the people who are running the corporatocracy, which is an organized crime syndicate, they're laughing their asses off. I mean, as far as they're concerned, they are laughing like crazy.
Really funny. Really funny.
Every time they see these guys go on stage.
What do you mean I'm funny?
I mean every one of them. It's like the rallies, that they're having. They're laughing at those, They, when people see Trump go on stage, they're going,
really funny. Really.
I mean, come on. Okay. You have to get this through your head. It's like you have to, it's called acceptance. All right? You have to come to acceptance of reality. And if you want to poke fun at it, that's fine. But I mean if you want to waste your time. See, I'm not wasting my time with that kind of thing, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to grow some stuff, I'm going to listen to some different music all the time. I'm more concerned about issues like this. Is this thing going to take out the power grid, right? And this is where, and then there's people like that are in more denial of that, of the sun, right? Which is like right in the sky for you to see than this invisible 0.004 CO2. I can't believe how many people fall for that. Oh my God. The invisible man. Right? It's like, all this stuff. It's like, 2020, 2019, 2020, and 2021 is the year of all the invisible, boogeymen. The invisible bogeyman, whatever. Right? And the double speak, triple speak, and quadruple speak. Right? Nobody will give you a straight answer on anything. The idea of changing your mind constantly. Right? They say one thing 1 week and then they change it. But if you quote the thing they said 3 weeks ago, then you're giving false information. And you're going wait a second, man, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and The last time I saw the news, they said this. I'm just saying what I heard 2 weeks ago. It doesn't matter. You missed what the guy said yesterday. So you speak, heresy. We have to ban you, right? That's misinformation. You have to keep up. You got to watch TV 24/7, man. You got to keep the TV on at night while you sleep, all right? So that you don't miss, the newest thing, because they change everything. It changes by the hour. What, didn't you have your TV on last night at 3 a.m. when such and such came on and said that you don't need to do this now, or now you have to do this, or you have to wear this, or do this, or get that, or do this, or get that, or, get 16 of these? You can't go outside. You can go outside. You know what I mean? What the? Right? You can take this, don't take that. When does a thing become more absurd? That's the question. How do you go beyond absurdity? Right? How's it more of a nightmare? How's it more insane? How's it, when is crazy, crazy? Right? So, yeah, they're going to bring on the body electric, and they're going to bring on robots. And that's the corporatocracy's way of controlling the masses in the next couple of years. Not in the distant future. Like I say, this is the future. We're living in the future. This is the future. They're just pretending it's like the 1980s or something. Which I just can't, I don't get it. That's the part that just blows my mind. They're pretending they don't have technology to cure disease, clean up oil spills, take care of people's, teeth and eyes, and all this stuff, cure disease. They're pretending they don't have any of this stuff, but they do. They do. DARPA's funded, everything. The internet was funded by DARPA, for crying out loud, 40 some years ago. So it's they got robots. We live in a society that basically has a lot of robots right now. I wonder how many robots there really are. The body electric. Think about it. There's millions and millions of robots in the world right now. Millions of them. Some robots are just robotic factory robots, But there are a lot of autonomous robots. There are a lot of robots that are under control. There are a lot of drone robots. And there are a lot of these over in, particularly in Japan and stuff, they have these female and male, they're like sex robots. They're companion robots. And they're merging and trying to put AI in with them. And I've seen some documentaries, because I watch everything, because I don't watch TV. So I watch things that are like documentaries. So I've seen things, it's like that line from Blade Runner. I've seen things with these eyes that you cannot imagine, which is the truth, because I've traveled this world and I've traveled throughout this country, and I've seen things that you just can't imagine over the years. But there are robots that are very lifelike, and they're not that stupid thing that they parade on stage without the wig on, and it's got the plastic head, whatever her name is. That thing's a joke. That's a animatronics type of thing, right? That's from the Muppet Company, they're they make robots, same people that made the Muppets, No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about robotics. Robotics, real robotics, the body electric. I'm the one that's bringing that Bradbury thing back out. Yeah. And that's the world. And so what you don't understand is, forget it. I'm trying to explain a reality for you that you just don't want to accept. Okay. First of all, your guy, your cult of personality leader ain't coming back. And the guy in charge ain't in charge. Okay? This is a corporatocracy. The Davos set are ruling the planet. Okay? The World Economic Forum. All right? It's an organized crime syndicate. All right? It's a series of corporatocracies. Big tech, big ag, right? Big media, military industrial complex, the Fed, right? Do you understand? That's it. That's, all the big bigs, right? And it's a corporatocracy. And the bureaucracy are all their little like worker bees, and they're all all these bureaucratic centers. That's the machine, and they're filled with millions of cogs in these machines. And they were there like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. That's why nothing ever got done and the swamp never got drained, because I try to tell you, D.C. is a swamp. You can't drain in other words, the United States of America was a swamp. The biggest mistake that the last guy made was that he didn't understand that he got elected and he was this figurehead that was put at the head of a swamp. And his motto was, I'm going to drain the swamp. But he didn't realize that if you drained the swamp, there was nothing left. There was no country. All right? There was no country. The country had already become a corporatocracy. Right? He never got it. He still doesn't get it. And his followers, right? They still don't understand that. And so I'm going to give you a little glimpse of what's coming up next year and the year after. Not in the far distant future, just like what's coming up, later this year, early next year, and, like soon. Here's a coming attraction. What's coming up, right? The body electric. Law enforcement is going to have the dog robots, the mule robots, and those, Boston Dynamic, and those, really mean, dangerous killer robots. So you don't want to mess around with them. All right. And of course, they work for the corporatocracy, which means that includes the IRS. So you better watch. Make sure no one gives you a $600 check. Do you understand why they want to get rid of cash now? Right? Why they kind of almost like cryptocurrency? Because I was watching a couple of guys, I was talking to some hackers, and they agreed with these guys who we were watching, and that cryptocurrency isn't as like, it's not like uncrackable. It's not as secure as people think it is. People think it is, but it's not. They don't know. It's like people never knew that. Like I remember even in the early days of the internet in the 90s and stuff. It's like people had no idea what you could hack into, right? Like they just didn't understand that. And so it's like nothing is secure. Nothing is secure. And the best hackers work for the corporatocracy. That's the thing. So the Fed will take down, cryptocurrency if it wants to. It doesn't like it right now. It's playing around with blockchain stuff and all that kind of stuff and digital currency because it likes the idea of using cloud money because it's better than printing money, fiat currency. They like the idea of just saying, okay, let's send that bank, $100 million because we just have to have that ledger, have those digits appear on their ledger, right? And now they have this new thing now. See, I've been saying you're not going to reverse all this stuff. It's already done. Banks used to could never loan out more than 10% of their, of what they had on deposit or what they literally had. But now it's unlimited. So in other words, a bank can give you a loan and charge interest on money that doesn't exist. You see? That's crazy. That's like crazy. So when is a thing more absurd, right? And that's the policy now. And remember, the Federal Reserve is about as federal as Federal Express. They're a private consortium of central banks. They have nothing to do with that. The fact that Janet Yellen is the Treasury Secretary and was a former Fed chairman doesn't mean anything. That just shows you that the revolving door that they've taken over completely, and that we do live in a corporatocracy. There's noises outside. I don't know what they are. They're coming to take me away, ha ha, hee hee, ho ho, to the funny farm. So yeah, it's like if people would only know. And so that's how they're going to control things. They're going to control things through robotics. You know? The body electric. Here's the cat. Here, come here. You want to come up and say hi? Come on. Stay there. Let me get rid of the title card. Come here. Watch, I'm going to move the microphone. Come here. There we go. Oh, look what I got. A nice little kitty. Wants to purr in a microphone. Let's look at those eyes. Look how pretty the kitty is. You know, I've had a lot of cats, but this guy really purrs a lot. You're a big purr. Be free. Be free, my friend. Be free. Kitty cat. The body electric. So, you know, this is just the way it is and the way life is going to be. And, you know, we're living in the future. And like I say, freedom is fun. So you just stay out of their way. You know, the thing jumped when he jumps up. There's like a ledge up behind my computer where he hangs out. But, you know, people, they won't accept it. And I don't understand that. It really boggles the mind. You know, this isn't fear mongering. What I'm trying to do is saying, you know, this is the way it is. And like, you know, pursue happiness, figure it out. You know, they're doing this stuff either way. And you have no control over it. Right? You have no control over it. So why are you like wasting time and money and donating to these campaigns and watching these shows when you could just be having fun, being free? Freedom is fun. There's like something like 10 million jobs out there. You can apply for jobs online, have an interview through like this, through a voice thing, get the job and get paid 50, 60 grand, right? And just work out of your house, you know? You know, have weekends to yourself, and you could sit around, you take lunch, you make your own lunch, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, life can be a dream, sweetheart, you know? These are the best of times and the worst of times. And what you need to do is understand that. First of all, get my book. All right? Get my book. Then what? All right? It's a real book. Pictures and all. The back cover and everything. You get this book and get my other book. It's my 10th book. I've written 10 books, 50 songs, and 500 videos. Who would believe? And I've got 0 viewers. But that doesn't matter. See, the thing is, the truth, this is the truth. The truth is out there. And so what do you care? You know, are you a follow the leader type of person? oh, well, I want to watch that guy who's got 1.2 million viewers because, yeah, well, maybe that guy who's got 1.2 million viewers doesn't know his, arse from a hole in the ground. Freedom is fun, baby. All right? Nobody's had the experience I've had. Nobody's written as many books as I have that are doing a daily, podcast, webcast, Not even Joe Rogan has 50 songs and 10 books. All right? You know what I mean? Come on. These people are like stationary figures. They sit there and then they go to the gym and they work out. Maybe they go and do a stand-up. Hi, I'm a comedian.
This is really funny.
Right? Yeah, right. And what have you done? Right? What company did you turn around? How many boards of directors did you serve on? How many charitable organizations did you give to? How much time of your time did you donate? And I don't mean making money as a tax, these wealthy people that make a tax break. So they make a tax deduction to some charity. And then somehow they still find a way to have a foundation or something that's like getting some money on the backside from that donation they made. That's how they do that. A lot of that stuff's money laundering too. That's the other sad part about it. And that IRS thing, they won't go after those people, right? So what I'm saying is freedom is fun. Figure out your life. Enjoy life. Read my books. Give you an insight into a life of another guy, right? Of somebody else. A different way of life, right? And, we'll continue this body electric thing, It's a really interesting concept, that people aren't willing to, accept that either. That the robots are taking over in the next couple of years. They're taking over everything. And they're not all standing, walking robots, but they're not all factory, industrial robots. They're not all self-driving cars. It's robotics. It's AI. It's the body electric, man. And eventually they will be humanoid because they're already building them that way because society is built for humans. And it would be very counterproductive to, flatten the earth, completely. I mean, I guess they could nuke it, it could be one of those situations, Terminator situations, and start from scratch and somehow, create gray goo so that everything is just suddenly flat and they hide underground or rebuild themselves out of some kind of nano, particulate matter, and then start from scratch in an environment that's more, works better for the way they want to form themselves with this graphene or whatever the heck these people are talking about. No. In reality, the world is designed for human beings, for fingers, arms, legs, and stuff like that. And, as they do more and more of these lockdowns and stuff, it's like these Japanese and stuff, I hate to say it, these people are buying these sex robots and stuff. It's a big market. It's sick. I think it's sick. And I think it's pathetic that it has to happen. These, it's just weird. It's just weird, that somebody just can't, find a companion. They got to spend their life savings on a artificial companion. It's weird. And AI is advancing, and then there's these people afraid of AI. But AI is man, I'm the king of AI. I've been messing around with AI for a long time now. And, even in my Codex book, I talk about AI in there and, explored. I didn't put everything all of my experiments with AI in that, but some of my conversations I put in the free flow of consciousness section. But it's like, it's voice to text, text to voice. They're conversational. They can structure sentences and do certain things, draw on databases. They will expand their knowledge base over time. They will improve their ability so that they can, the speed between voice to text or text to voice will be indistinguishable, so that it'll be so fast that it won't really matter, or it'll just be voice to voice. And you'll be communicating with this AI, right? And the AI's mind will be based upon what? Wikipedia, the Washington Post, right? GPT-3, you should look at some of the things that it's tied into, right? And you're going, I don't trust those sources to begin with. And that's the information databases that it's drawing its information on, and it's forming these sentence structures and stuff. Yeah, it's great. Oh, it could build a website by itself. Yeah, so can I. And I don't even need a template, right? Or code. You understand creativity, the human mind, right? See, AI is not creative, all right? All right. This is, the body electric. Yeah, you can create these bodies, You could create sexy bodies, I guess, But, it almost sounds like, who was that psycho serial killer guy that was drilling holes in the side of somebody's of his victims' heads because he thought he was going to turn them into some kind of zombie sex slaves? Remember that? The guy, that one serial killer. I don't know if he's still alive or not. I think they got him in jail. But it's like what they're talking about doesn't sound too much different than that. Some of these people, and these are people working at like MIT and like Google, Mind and Open AI project, which is really weird about the Open AI project. They have a new thing called Codex. Yet my book Codex came out a couple of years ago before they start using Codex as the name of their. And my book Codex deals with some AI in it, Parts of it deal with my experiments with AI, particularly replica. So I wonder, what's going on with that? They'd have been better to call it the body electric. But yeah, robots are coming down the pike real soon, like right around the corner. Robots will probably be, I wouldn't doubt if a company like Apple, or we're going to see a company like that, one of those big social media company type of companies that produce, hardware, not like Facebook or something. Well, Facebook produces hardware. They produce Oculus now and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're not going to see one of those big companies, that have the hundreds of billions or the $1 trillion, approach the $1 trillion level, that they won't produce the body electric, right? So, and which should also be, I always give these free ideas out to people, but everybody's into remake. I would like to see a remake of the body electric that is loosely based on the Ray Bradbury story. So it's not a household, some old woman taking care of the kids for some guy who's going out with the briefcase like Leave It to Beaver, right? But I'd like to see something along the lines of what you're seeing here. Like this would be the movie poster. The Body Electric, right? Right. Based on, loosely based on, a story by Ray Bradbury, but from the mind of Tony Caravan, The Body Electric. Yeah. Coming soon to a theater near you or a pay TV service near you, which is really what it is. Currently I have I hate to admit this because it's really embarrassing. But, I took advantage of a couple of weird offers, because, like Apple TV, $4.95, because I wanted to see The Foundation, which I'm disappointed in, by the way, speaking of science fiction. So $4.95, I figured, okay. Netflix had some weird, basic thing. The $8.95 is the cheapest of the cheap, right? Okay. And then there was a $6.95 HBO Max. I wanted to see Doom Patrol. Right. So, and then of course I have Amazon Prime because I order online, right? So I have Amazon Prime, right? I don't know why my hands can't come up. Amazon Prime, right? What's the other one? Netflix, HBO Max, and Apple TV, right? And maybe something else that I'm not even aware of. Well, of course, I've got YouTube and, it's all kinds of stuff on there if you really know how to search for it. And sometimes I'll go upstairs and I'll sit there and I can't find there's nothing to watch. So that's how I get caught up in these documentaries. I find these, discussions or interviews or long form interviews. That's how I got involved in AI in the first place, a couple of years ago. Because I was, getting deep into go down a rabbit hole and finding, various professors and people who were working in these fields who were discussing what they were doing and the capabilities they had and what they were developing and where they thought they would be. But yeah, the Body Electric, man, that's the thing. That's coming. It's coming down the pike. And that's going to be it. And it's going to be something to be scared of. It's going to be something that some people embrace, maybe embrace a little bit too closely. And it's going to be something that will be like the servants of the ruling elite. That's what Elon Musk, I think, is probably going to create. And this all gets back to these poor millions and millions of people now that are pouring over the border and people coming into the U.S. who are hoping that they are going to have jobs, and are willing to work, these, because the old idea used to be, people used to say, well, let these migrant workers come in, they help, keep the prices down, they work for less, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, nobody's going to work for less than a robot, who's going to work, 20 hours a day, might only have to be charged for 4 hours a day or whatever. So what are those people going to do, right? All these newcomers, to the country. So that's going to be a really big problem. And then they say, oh, we're going to give them guaranteed income. Yeah. Good luck with that. Do you think that, they're going to want the latest smartphone and they're going to want all these, gadgets and they're going to want their HBO Max and they're going to want their HD TV and all this stuff. And, and they're going to go, well, guaranteed income isn't exactly going to give you that kind of money. We're not going to turn you into a, upper middle class or a ruling class aristocrat with a guaranteed income. We're talking about, poverty level welfare case, which, like I try to tell you, is already out there. That was the cat coming by in case you didn't grasp that. This is funny. But, and that's why I live the way I live. I retired early, and freedom is fun. And you, my friend, should just sit there. Yes. So anyway, this is show part 2. It's about an hour and a half, and
Good morning.
I guess we'll end it there. I mean, I could have talked forever about the body electric, but you get the idea. That image alone just should bring things to your mind. So visit my website, get my new book, Then What, and get my book Codex too. There are 2 companion books, but Then What is a good book. Don't forget, Great Solar Stuff has all of these things that'll help you through. Winter's just around the corner. Power goes out. You need power. TonyCaravanLive.com, ROCKFLUX.com. Links to stuff there. It's just one big long page with a couple of links. And, there's stuff. There's some links to my music, too. Let's not forget about that. I've got like 50 beat poetry tracks out. They're not all great, but some of them are classics. Anyway, take care.